Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're back for some more South America Division 2 in what is the last couple of days before we go on towards our winter break. And right now we've got the top of the pack taking on one of the low runners in the middle. Infinity versus Inverse. Joining me on the microphone is going to be Astini, as always. How are you feeling?
Hello, I'm feeling excited to watch Infinity again. They're 3-0, so they're playing like Division 1 level of Dota 2, so I'm very excited to see what they can bring today, and also Inverse if they can surprise the favorite here.
Yeah, of course, Infinity, a solid lineup with, as you said, 1-3-0, 3 matches out of their 3 and have not lost a single map. They're 6-0, which is very impressive to witness, and honestly most of their games were actually very one-sided affairs as well. Inverse did not look the greatest against Omega, but to be fair, Omega's offlaner and position 4 were just absolutely insane, and that is kind of what every team has to face up against. But Infinity, they've got a superb mid laner as well in PP. I just love saying the word PP. But we'll be heading in towards the draft right now, Astini. And let's see what heroes are being picked up. And the first couple of picks make a lot of sense. The Mirana slightly less so, but the other ones are pretty much the standard.
Yeah, that's the opening they used against Balrogs when they opened with the Mars. Inverse also had this opening with Mars and Medusa on 8, but they might have lost confidence and changed, I don't know, for a Luna or something else. And it's interesting to see that Inverse, they respected the TA from Infinity. So this hero has been banned on, I believe, 5 out of 6 matches of Infinity, and the one that it wasn't banned, it was just like a show we got to watch from Parker on that hero.
Yeah, it's of course, every team has their specialist heroes. I mean, we also see Alina being banned out in the first phase. I don't really think Lina is one of those heroes. That's too scary. Medusa ban though, pickup. You mentioned it already. I'm expecting an Ogre ban right now because that's like basic SA right now. Mars, Medusa, Ogre, add in a Evoker, you know, buff up the Medusa, let it go wild. And there's the Evoker ban themselves surprise. Well, to be fair, Evoker is also a pretty solid Medusa counter.
Yeah, but I would wait a little bit with that Invoker ban because it's somehow likely that Infinity might ban the hero also if they're not willing to pick. But being one of the best heroes from PP, it might make sense, especially because, as you mentioned, it's good against Duza. You can remove the mana with EMP, so solid ban. Also PL because they cannot deal with the illusions. But Inverse, they still have those buffs for Duza, as you mentioned, as Ogre, maybe Legion Commander, because this Mars, of course, can be a mid laner. We've seen some Legion 5, which I'm not so certain about, but
I think Miggy mainly plays the Mars mid, because when they played against Omega, they constantly, Omega constantly banned out every offlane, even though Mars was their first pick. So I assume that they're just going to stick with the Miggy mid Mars and not be too fearful of the rest. To be fair, Mars, pretty solid mid laner, doesn't have that many counters, considering he has like slightly less attack range than the monkey, but still stupidly far.
Yeah, and Infinity, the last time they played this lineup, they went with a Gyro here, which was not banned by Inverse, and I would definitely expect that's the pick they will do after this ban. Some heroes they banned, such as Hazor, are open.
Astini.
I just think Hazor, yeah.
Do you believe in the sniper pick again?
From Infinity, not really from Infinity side. I think G-Pride is a team that were willing to play the hero. I'm not so sure on Infinity. Because, especially if you pick the Gyro here, which I believe they will. Kind of a weird lane. Oh, Ogre. Yeah, they steal the Ogre that you mentioned.
Yeah, either ban or pick with when the Dusa gets secured. It's just such a strong lane dominating hero. I mean, anything melee pretty much with the Dusa combos superbly. You add in a Tusk, a Ogre Magi, or Bara, you even see sometimes added in. for that front lighting mayhem. It does mean that you are up against both sides just incredibly tank heroes, which is kind of the way I say it. Like, they're two different playstyles most of the time. Either you go for the full regen where, you know, your favorite hero Io comes into play every single time, or you go for that big tanky lineup with Ogre, Magi, Tide, Mars, Medusa, Kunkka, another bunch of big tank heroes, a centaur here and there, and you just can't die.
Legion Commander.
And here comes the Legion, so they want to have some buff themselves, and of course Sky is an amazing partner for Legion. You have the burst you need for the duo to come through.
I've seen some nutty Skywrath mages these days, but it of course does mean that this is a mid-Mars. Most likely, I don't assume that this is going to be a Legion Commander position 5, though hey, you never know. We might get surprised with something fun, but most definitely going to be a last pick's 5 position for Infers.
Yeah, and it's interesting this combination of Legion Sky, because usually the heroes that counter Sky, they're countered by Legion. So if you want to go anti-mage, it's countered by Legion. Heroes with illusions, Legion's also super good against those. So it's an interesting pick. There's some comfort. Yeah.
Would you go something like an OD just for the save?
I don't think so, because OD Tidehunter seems such like a static draft. I think they need a hero on the mid lane that does more for them, that can play like that can gank actually, which OD can't. He just throws a meteor. So I don't know if they can play like a Morphling hard carry here. It's hard to play against a Silence and a Lockdown, but it's a matchup they like against the Duza. There's Bloodseeker. I think they need to choose the carry because there aren't many options. So if I can't imagine a carry that's super good by now, then Inverse would still have 2 bans, and then you have even less, right?
Okay, you did mention the Razor. Interesting choice. Is still necessarily flexible that it can go mid against the Mars, but probably going to be up against the LC with the Ogre as a 5, I would presume.
Yeah, it's very likely it's a hard carry Razor with Ogre in the lane. It's pretty decent against Legion. Has some good HP and HP regen to tank the lane against Sky.
Dyer's turn to ban.
And with the Ogre Magi slow / stun, you can pretty much run down the LC or Skywrath the entire time. Get those static link stacks as we see the OD getting banned out. And of course Infinity need to get rid of any safe lane supports that are pretty tanky and annoying for the Tidehunter to deal with, because the Medusa is pretty annoying, granted. I mean, the Mystic Snake hurts, but I see so many Tides still actually evening out that lane against Medusas if there's not a solid position 5 like an Undying, like a Tusk, to peel away the Tide.
Yeah, and Infinity, they still have 1 ban on a position 5, but as you mentioned, OD might have been a good pick, right? If Inverse are banning, they also believe, so maybe you were right. There's another point also that OD is actually super good against Duza because you remove the mana pool, so you just remove so much her power to tank the spells with mana. It could be interesting.
Oh, it looks like Infinity... I mean, the Raze is a great hero, but not necessarily in the late game against Dusa, so you're probably considering more, as you said, a playmaking kind of mid laner, a bit more aggressive, maybe something that can push. Because, I mean, the only push they really have is the Razor. If he gets Ags, which is like, no.
Yeah, the thing is, it's PP, and he really sticks to his comfort. I don't see as a good game for Void Spirit, but he might go just because it's his comfort. We still get to see, for Void Spirit for PP. Sorry.
Yeah, you know, I know, but like maybe a DP.
Maybe DP.
Radiant pick
would be good, but it's again on his comfort zone. I don't know.
Well, Gyrocopter last pick for Inverse. Could mean position 5 Gyro, which is fairly annoying because he does a lot of magic damage, and Tidehunter's not the greatest in the early game until he gets his
5 seconds
nice
left.
defensive items secured, so you can definitely get bullied out in the process, but you definitely have to be careful against this Mirana arrow in that laning stage, because Mirana Tidehunter can do a lot of damage if you get caught off guard. Last pick. It's going to be the Morphling. You mentioned it. Wait, is that then a mid-Razor? Yep,
Yeah.
it's a mid-Razor Morphling safe. Okay. I mean, to be fair, with the fact that they picked up Gyrocopter last, you do have a very good Morphling target to turn into in the mid to late game where you can get that flat cannon going.
I've seen games that if you are position 5 gyro, you don't level up that skill. So
that is also true, just like with Shaker. When your opponent is Shaker, they just don't level the enchant totem because they know exactly what's going to happen otherwise.
yeah, could be a choice here, but yeah, it's a good Morphling game, especially on the carry to carry matchup. He might have a difficult lane, especially on the beginning, but afterwards, if you get like a Linkens, he's kind of unkillable. And Parker, he's such a good player. I strongly believe he can win that game with Morphling. And PP, to be honest, I've never seen him on a Razor, so not sure what to expect. He's amazing player when he's within his comfort. From I've seen, he played 13 times on Razor. Yeah. But
what kind of build did he go for on the Razor? Because there are like 3 different type of builds that you can go, and I'm kind of curious if you can see/predict if he's going to go magic, physical, or tanky.
Yeah, so last one, he ended the game with BKB, Halberd, Refresher, Yasha, Assault, Agonies.
Okay.
And lost with all those items. Whoa.
That's a long game.
Yeah, 45 minutes, so he farmed very well.
I do think that's actually, I mean, especially the Heaven's Halberd sounds like the perfect item this game against Dusa. Get one on Tide, get one on your Razor, and Medusa can't do squat.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, if they wanna go late game against that Dusa or not, and I believe they just need to hit the Ethereal Blade timing, and after that they can just run over Inverse. Maybe even with the Linken's timing, they can already guarantee Roche. They have Gush as a minus armor. Morphling's a hero that has some pretty good Roche damage. So they can definitely snowball.
Oh, they're running bottom lane, but they're not all running bottom. They might consider trying to catch out the morph, because we know that every morph swaps to full strength. Agi walks towards the bottom tier 1 and then gets jumped. So in this case, if you walk out a little bit too far, you could easily die, especially a Skywrath mage, who surprisingly enough did go for a bit more regen, considering I see a lot of Skywrath mages that just get like 2 Mantles of Intelligence, 2 Circlets, and that's the laning items.
Yeah, because you have so much mana pool that it's hard to restore it. So you just use all your resources and then you die. You're fine by doing that. It's like Undying. You just like use all your mana pool and you suicide, so you're back to full HP and full mana, because you just want to annoy the core on the other side. That's your biggest goal here.
Biggest goal is the W. This is a level 30 Mirana, by the way. Damn, Pamplona. I'm expecting some big fat arrows, not a single miss coming through. Level 30 Mirana. That's a lot of games.
Yeah, and to be fair, he doesn't have that many setups. Of course, there's the slow from Gush, but like Ogre, his stun is such a short distance, short range, that it's so hard to use as a setup for the arrow.
Ogre better get himself a Midas this game, though. Has to. Yeah, mid lane, not too surprising. Static lane, joink, joink, joink. Iggy, surprisingly enough, didn't like use the spear to push him away, just looking to use it for last hitting creeps. Yes, Actually, now he... Okay, interesting combination there.
Yeah, he decided to let Razor soak all his damage, but be certain that he would have the spear to guarantee the last hit on the mage.
Oh, Parker taking a beating right now. Does have a Fairy Fire and a Magic Stick. And it is a Morphling, so it's always going to be at low HP. But I do love the fact that the Ogre planted 2 sentry wards to make sure that there's no farming coming through from the Mars, or stacks in general unless you counter ward it. Make sure that Dusa doesn't get big fat stacks to clear out once she hits that level 7 mark.
Yeah, I guess it's mostly target on the Dusa. Usually you see just on the Ancient, but he went for the double block. That's interesting.
I mean, I would... It's probably also because you tend to get a couple of stacks going, and then once it's, you know, level 7 minutes in, you see the Mars walking in to clear out the stacks and then get like every neutral item they need.
Yeah. The thing is, like, when you realize you don't have the Ancients, you're not so willing to go back there and stack just one camp. That's at least the feeling I had. So when you notice it, either you don't go back because you don't have the Ancients, or you just go back and deward. And then on that case, he's gonna be dewarding both.
I mean, could he place one? Yeah, he can place one sentry that counters both. So
Yeah.
he could get the value.
But I'm not sure he would go for that because
Well,
he might...
actually, you probably place one there, right?
Yeah, for the lower camp, and you might be lucky to find the one on the Ancient. The one on the Ancient is really bad placement if you consider that you block the other camp also.
Yeah, if you're gonna counter with the big large camp, then you automatically pretty much counter the other one because it's just too close.
Yeah.
Nice idea, but it, you know, he spent $100 for it, then it could only have to be 50 to counter ward.
Yeah. Nice idea, not so good execution.
Really not that aggressive so far. Leaping onto Slaw. They're trying to get the kill onto Gyro for first blood. Arrow is available, but Pamplona doesn't throw it. And first blood gets picked up by Slaw, which, I mean, he got gushed, so he was slowed. You could easily hit that arrow at that point. It's honestly very easy with that ridiculously heavy slow from a Tidehunter.
Yeah, I believe Pamplona was a bit baited by the stick on Gyro. So Gyro was baiting all the time with the stick and the Fairy Fire, and he didn't have a stick himself. So that really made a huge difference.
Ooh, Ogre bottom taken down as well. Both sides lanes already lost the player. Not the greatest start for the side of Infinity. But Inverse definitely going to take that one because Inverse, of course, they need a couple more wins under their belt. They want to have a chance at advancing on towards Division 1 because they're 1 and 2 right now, so it's not great. But if you win the next 3 games, 4 games, 4 games, then you should still be able to advance on towards Division 1 with a little bit of luck, of course.
Yeah, and they're facing the strongest candidate to go up to Division 1, so if they manage to beat them, they're already like removing 1 point from a direct competitor.
Though to be fair, I'm expecting Infinity to top the group. So you're maybe just hoping that you beat the hell out of the Balrogs, who are also not an easy team to beat. Parker, though, waveforming into the enemy. Against a Skywrath Mage, I mean, yeah, he just TP'd in, but still. That is, yeah, that is a whole moment right there.
Yeah, that's my analysis, like, whoa. And now the Ogre is gonna go down. So.
Yep. The Skywrath Mage, 3 kills already in that bottom lane. That's definitely a great start. Level 4, 5 minutes in on a position 4. Yep.
Yeah, and they have the catapult wave. Maybe if Miji could clear up the one on mid and connect on the bot lane, this would really complicate the game on Parker because he's still level 4. And with this catapult, I'm not sure he can take the tower, but he can do a lot of damage to the tower.
Pamplona coming in from behind, looking for the catch. The commander gonna get killed off by Parker though. And Pamplona is just roaming around, not really doing anything. Maybe, you know, killing a creep here and there in the jungle. And there's the counter ward that counters 2 camps. And look at that value. So they reward the area, and the ogre spends himself some extra cash. Gonna go for the double. Yep, he's gonna go for the double counter ward. Make sure the ancients don't respawn. Nice.
And now on a different place, that's gonna require 2 sentries.
Pamplona, just arrow the Hellbear Smasher. Make sure that they only have like 1 tomato to use for farm multi. Walking up the high ground though, in trouble. There's Migi behind it. Arena to catch out the ogre. Taken down. Pamplona does have his last leap to safety, but it's a 5-1 lead currently. It's looking pretty impressive for Inverse. Actually, the kills look very impressive. So surprisingly enough, Pamplona is about the same net worth as Monty, and Monty is 3-0-1.
Yeah, it's a Mirana, so he can farm the creeps on the jungle. I guess they also stolen the bounties. Oh, he doesn't have any leap, but Migi doesn't decide to go for the kill.
Medusa got chased forever. Slaw TPs on towards Mariano, who looks like he's used his Ravage. Oh, that's nice. PP's gonna yoink those neutral creep camp stacks. Easy money added in. Razor went for Falcon Blade, which is still an item that needs a little bit of rework, you know, in the next big patch. Because it needs to build into something. I mean, I know that still some people pick it up just as, but it just feels so crap.
Do you build it as a position 5 though? Or
Falcon Blade? No.
Okay. I was wondering for the gyro, because you usually see gyros with that item.
Nah, PP's wielding it, and it's a. I mean, for stats wise, it's slightly decent, but I mean, I definitely think that it should build into something.
Yeah. It's just like too cheap, so it's worth from the beginning, but it should like upgrade to, I don't know.
I mean, it's
be
about
upgraded.
Let's see, Blitz Knuckles is what, 1,000?
It could be part of Echo Saber,
for instance, or you know, it replaces Broadsword in some cases. I don't know. There are definitely a lot of options that you can use. Tier 1 tower top being pushed in. And immediately Parker TPs towards the top lane. They know exactly how to play. Pre-10 minutes trying to clear out the enemies off the safe lane tower. And then you send in your safe laner to just farm the area, because that is most definitely going to be the safest area in the map. Speaking of which, right now towards mid they walk. The ogre in trouble. Legion Commander does have a duel, but for some reason they decide to kill him before the Legion Commander even gets close.
Well, they still have the ward on the area. Sky, no, not close to level 6. He's gonna need the Tom or the 6-minute mark outpost. So yeah, they should have waited. You see dudes are pinging the wards, like the camps. Oh, I don't have a camp.
Support,
So sad.
please fix. Why am I in trouble, support? Oh, PP, he's the one in trouble. Gets jumped, takes a lot of magic damage. Does magic, 1 charges, but not that many. Can he stay alive? He's on the run, dropping low. Does have infused raindrops, and that keeps him alive in the process. PP surviving barely. Rotation coming in from Parker, looking for Miggy, the level 8 Mars on the run. Call down comes through, and Miggy will be able to survive a lot of damage, a lot of very close calls, but no kills secured.
It's fun that PP, he was running off the projectile from Sky, and there was also an arrow, and he juked the arrow.
Ogre Magi on the run. He's keeping them occupied. Duel has already been used. There is a Ravage though. And in comes Mariano. They do lose one of their members, but they will find the LC in return. Or will they? PP's on the chase, but look at the speed on the Legion Commander. He is way too fast, and he quickly turns into a piggy to disengage further. So 1-for-1 trade, duel for a Ravage. Definitely want to say that that trade favors the inverse lineup.
Yeah, the thing is, Morphling's free farming meanwhile, and Duza is also... Oh, he's gonna go for the kill?
Oh, Adrian does stay alive. Parker doesn't want to go that deep.
Yeah, and to complete...
Dire's bottom tower's
Usually
getting pushed
this
around.
would be good for the Duza lineup, but actually Duza was having a good game and Morphling a bad game. But Morphling just recovered everything. Meanwhile, Duza has been having trouble to farm the map because she had no camps. Like they de-ward again that big camp, so it's such a sad life for Adrian.
Medusa without stacks is a very sad Dusa, and that's a report towards your supports, of course. Much needed. Mirana Invis against a broken smoke. Biggie walks away, doesn't have his blink dagger yet, so wants to get aggressive before the blink. Feels like you're just missing the tools to make an engagement happen. The LC decides not to go for his armlet, instead also wants to go for blink. That means they're going to build two blinks at the same time. You're going to need to make plays in that case on the inverse side, otherwise it's just wasted money.
They got the Ogre.
Ogre is trying to chill and stay alive. Missed spear though, Miggy, big fat juicy mistake. He'll stay alive. Honestly, so many players dropping low, but no one is actually dying.
Bottom tower needs a hand.
Yeah, lots of spell use, everyone alive, and about the daggers, I really do not like it. Not even on one of them, because nowadays it's just not worth to rush that dagger because you need to find kills all the time to make it worth, otherwise you simply don't scale. So if you go for an armlet first, even BKB first, you can scale. So way better, and nowadays it's so hard to do pick-offs, to like cross the map, cross the river. You always need a smoke to surprise the enemy team, you don't have that much smoke, so it's not a choice that I'm big fan of.
Honestly, I wouldn't have minded it if he went for armlet Shadow Blade, so he can later on build it into, of course, Silver Edge and break the tide. But the fact that if the Morphling pays attention, and we definitely know that Parker does, it is going to be very hard to blink duel him.
Yeah, and he's very close to the linking sphere.
And then blink duel is definitely out of the question because he has no way to break that Lincoln sphere unless he gets a neutral item. So
He's gonna... Ooh. He just blinked on the mid lane, but Morphling got the waveform, so that's what they redo.
Dusa dropping low, taken down, kill secured, TP's come in, there's going to be an arena, Mystic Flare, Ogre dropping low, Ravage doesn't connect onto Miggy, duel comes through, Razor's in trouble, call down from Slaw, they finally find their first duel victory damage. Mariona's still alive and kicking, but that should not last too long because he's going to get the TP out, never mind, it's going to last forever. And he disengages while Parker finishes off the tier 1 tower towards mid. I mean, they killed the Dusa, that's what they came for. Yes, it's unfortunate they lost a Razor, but the Dusa's dead, the Morphling is farming, he's done with the Lincoln Sphere. Honestly, Infinity, even though they're 6 kills behind, it feels like they've just got that solid advantage now.
Yeah, they're hitting their timings, that's what they are worried about, and inverse, they tried to surprise the Morphling with the dagger, but he was so fast on the waveform, so he didn't get killed. And now with the Lincolns, it feels like unkillable. So it's really hard situation for inverse, especially because now you're sitting with 2 blink daggers.
God, Legion is fast with that pig pole. But yeah, also one aspect that we didn't mention is the fact that with, of course, the attack speed increase from the Ogre, with the fact that you've got Gush from the Tide, you've got the Mirana now going for Solar Crest as well, you've got the Mind's Armor from Razor's Eye of the Storm, you've got a lot of Mind's Armor, and you have a, at that point, very squishy Roche. Go on to the Tide with a Mystic Flare on top. He's got half his HP left, okay. I mean, what did you expect? It's a Tide.
Oh. Yeah. Unless you have Silver Edge, you're not gonna win a duel on Tidehunter.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
That's just pretty much a wasted Mystic Flare and duel. A lot of mana for, of course, the Skywrath Mage thrown out. That's 300 mana for that spell. Legion Commander with the tiniest blink. And we're not going to connect. Pamplona still hasn't really shown me that level 30 arrow skills.
Yeah, but again, no setups. It's not that easy.
Trick shots, bro.
But,
Trick shots.
Yeah. But Parker is like stealing the Ancients, and then again you get a really sad Duza that has no Ancients to farm. I believe Duza farmed twice that camp. If it was twice, maybe once. So maybe a duo Ogre at least.
Mystic Flare, that's a better target. That's 20 dual victory damage this game. That's slightly better. Still not that great though. I mean,
and I'm not so sure how Blade Mail is good on this game. Do you think it's good?
Well, it pretty much comes down to can the Morphling not pay attention for half a second so that he gets Blade Mail dueled, but you know, you first need to pop the Lincoln, so you kind of actually need an item to pop that Lincoln if you want to solo quick duel him, which, unless you get a neutral item, that's not going to happen anytime soon. And it's not, I mean, the Skywrath could possibly pop it from range, but that's about it. Like, it's a pretty hard game to get a duel going, and then the Blade Mill on top, I don't really see Morphling making a mistake. I think BKB would have been way better.
Yeah, I think BKB or even Halberd, because Halberd is useful at that game. He's playing against two ranged cores, and that evasion, some extra stats, Lincoln's Breaker could fill in.
But it's a Legion Commander, you know, you kind of expect him to fall off. Miggy, well, he's definitely falling off. Next item is going to be a BKB, but you really see that Blink Dagger that he spent his entire early game in farming has done absolutely nothing so far. Like, they're going for a bit of a smoke gank attempt, but it's mainly just farming the enemy's high ground. At that point, again, you could have just gone Armlet and it would have done about the same. Slaw, he's going to get caught, not going to be so lucky. The arrow misses. Very disappointed in Pamplona's arrows right now.
He has like 0 out of 13 so far, something like this.
Yeah, it's not the greatest. Miggy up the high ground, gets spotted, pushed back. I mean, that's the only plus about his Blink Dagger, is that he can run away better. Oh, Jewel, it comes in onto Pamplona. Another missed arrow is going to cost him dearly. They will find the LC in trade. So he did get the dual victory damage, which is a nice plus, but they're just going to walk in towards the Roche pit and get that first Aegis of the game, which of course you put it on the Morphling. Morphling is very close to his Manta style. At that point, you can start breaking down all the tier 2 towers.
Yeah, I don't know how worth is it to exchange your life for a duel win. It feels like you go from position 3 to position 4 when you do that, because you're just like getting a kill that's not that important and dying afterwards as a Legion, so it's also a decision making that doesn't help you scale at all.
Well, the Mars definitely needs that BKB. The Dusa's got the Manta Dragonlance, so high ground defense is pretty nice. Once Lescati is finished, the Dusa will be very solid against the Morphling. To a degree, of course, because Morphling attacks incredibly fast, but the healing reduction from the Iascati is always a hard counter for heroes like Morphling, which are pretty much reliant on swapping between health pools.
Yeah, he's going for Manta. I thought he would go for E-Blade, because I know Manta is one counter for the Silence and Rod of Athos, but I think with Lincolns he can just like jump and burst this guy and then he can feel safe.
It's yeah, pretty much. I guess the real threat is that Sky is one of the only heroes in this game on the side of Inverse that can easily break his Lincolns. And if you get silenced in a tough
They'll
spot,
try to go for the Tide.
what?
Sorry. No, they were going for the tie. Sorry for interrupting. I thought they thought about blinking him on the bot lane. They're still there waiting.
Why would they ever consider jumping on the tide again? Just no.
Yeah, that's why I interrupt you, because it was looking like a disaster. So I'm like, oh, this happening.
Tide's actually going for the Ags. Which, I mean, AoE armor reduction is pretty nice and pushing power, but it's still always a weird item. Immediate Ravage on the LC. I mean, I know that you're getting the kill, but I don't really think that the Ravage was necessarily needed there, because he doesn't have, like, any way out. If you damage him, he has to run, maybe you can pop the press the attack and try and disengage, but with the rest of your team in tow, and of course that level 30 Mirana with the godlike arrows chasing him down, no way to escape.
I guess he has the understanding that inverse, they simply cannot fight against them, so they will be skipping the team fights by cutting waves, splitting the map. So since a team fight's not happening, he can just use Ravage as a 10-second cooldown stun. So he doesn't think he needs to have it available in the short term.
Well, Parker is using that Manta style to farm, of course. That's one advantage over the E-Blade. Because as you said, if the enemy doesn't want to fight you, then there's no real need for the E-Blade. He is building it next, though. And, I mean, it's not like... The BKB from the Mars is done, so that's a plus. But for the most part, not the biggest threat. Mirana's gonna die. Mystic Flare, a bit too nasty to handle. Monty will get the TP away. They're chasing for Adrian. But in comes PP. Trying to not look too much at the Deuce. Is going to get stoned up. Can they interrupt the DP? No, they cannot. And that is going to be a disengage from the Medusa. Oh, it is about time that Infinity get themselves some 4-staffs. Because Mirana is going for the Ags, which no. Just no. Yules, yes. Glimmer, yes. Force, yes. Ags, why? Just why? Well, I actually know why, Astini. Because he's missing his arrows anyway, but he gets close. So they at least take a little bit of that extra damage around him.
Yeah, he's guaranteeing the Star Storm.
Oh, Parker. Still a minute left on his Aegis.
It feels like he might want to lose it because he doesn't have any lifesteal and he's running out of mana, so really doesn't care dying here.
Well, he is also pretty much done with the E-Blade, which is still pretty decent farm. Lincoln's Manta E-Blade in 24 minutes.
Yeah, and they, like, you can expect Inverse to try to fight them when Aegis is over. That's exactly what they're doing, smoking. But if you're Infinity, you should be prepared for that and take that fight, because it's still your time. You don't have Aegis, but you have everything else.
He's not having a great game. I mean, his team is winning 6k ahead, but the Mirana is just not having a great game.
Yeah, maybe he could have built his own Lincoln Sphere. I know he wouldn't have the gold, but he would be on his way of a Lincoln instead of a Aghanis.
Some FPS issues, it seems, on the side of Infinity, but okay. Ideal scenario. Inverse. How will they win a team fight? How will they get themselves back in the game?
They still need time. They need time that this Duza can like man fight the entire Infinity lineup, and for that, I would say Duza needs. Oh, she's gonna need a MKB because Morphlin's going for butter. No, not anymore. Yeah, but she definitely needs one damage item, which could be Daedalus or MKB. She needs BKB. And what else?
Rapier
From
while
that
you're
on,
at it.
Nah, from that on, she can actually fight. But without BKB, just seems like one Ravage and she dies. And with those items, she doesn't do enough damage to kill any hero. So she needs some critical damage.
While Medusa's building that, Tide's almost done with the Ags, then wants to go for the Refresh Orb. We've also got the Razor who's going for the Refresh Orb right now. Surprisingly enough, did not choose to go for the Heaven's Halberd, but instead went the SNY. Which, okay. I mean, definitely feels like a Heaven's Halberd kind of game. Because, honestly, Mars does nothing this game. Legion Commander does nothing this game. Skywrath is like an annoying bug to most of the Infinity lineup, except for Mirana. I mean, she just straight up dies. That's why she's going Yules, because she realized Ags does nothing for you this game. No.
I think that's like the understanding that they are so far ahead that he can just static link her and she wouldn't be able to do any damage to him. So if he has double static link, then he should be even safer. So it's okay, the decision, I believe, considering how far ahead they are. They're 6k ahead, but it feels like 10 for me, or even more. I don't know if I have this feeling also.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they're a lot more ahead than it says. I mean, quickly checking out the win probability, 71%. I would say it ranges more to like the 85% mark to 15 for inverse. I mean, Dusa's literally the only thing that can win in this game. It's just the Mars. There's been no impact from him this game.
Yeah, and like you have Mars Gyro Dusa lineup. That looks like for me as you're looking for team fights, but feels like they can never fight into infinity. That's, I don't know, because then they have the Legion and Sky, which is more pick-off oriented than team fight, so... And like, Legion's going for Sanji, then Halberd, then Agony Shard, so Legion won't have that BKB, and... Just feels like they could team fight when they have 3 BKBs, but it's gonna be like on 40 minutes mark. And I don't think the game is still gonna be going on with for 40 minutes.
Personally, in this current patch, I think that Bling Dagger is a little bit overrated. Especially if you get, just like with the Hand of Midas, if you get 2 heroes that get either a Bling Dagger or 2 heroes that get a Hand of Midas, it is about 4k net worth of your team that you waste in stuff that doesn't give you stats. And the Hand of Midas at least gives you farm, but the Bling Dagger, I mean, it gives you slight farm. But unless you've got like a lineup that has, you know, a Bloodseeker core or something, where you can make plays with your entire team and try to stomp him, I just feel that it's wasted money for at least the early game, where you know that Infinity, they're not going to take any fights. They've got a Morphling. Morphling at least needs 1-2 items before he can take any engagements. So at that point, you might as well just get the armlets, get the, you know, armlets that win you, of course, the laning stage, because it also gives you the very solid helm in that scenario. Yeah, there are definitely some more farm-intensive items that they could have used. Because, yeah, you're giving all your farm to the Dusa, but you can't farm literally the entire map on her own.
Yeah, and felt like what they needed to do was actually to defend their farming areas, and you don't need Blink Dagger for that. You need BKB so you can sit on the high ground. Because they had 2 daggers to look for kills, but Infinity was the team that was farming their Ancients, so kind of weird.
And Mirana, ulti, smoke as well. They're coming in, spotting. Oh, there could be a big Ravage. Tide is nearby. They almost immediately blow up Slod. The Medusa gets jumped without popping the ulti. Medusa is in trouble. And Adrian does finally pop the ulti on the run. Chase is not fast enough. Leap forward. Adrian is gonna get the TP to safety. On the side, Parker, keeping the enemies occupied. But in comes PP Monthly. They know exactly where he is. Arrow is again not gonna miss. He literally just used a Shadow Amulet. That is sad.
This lack of stun on Infinity is kind of annoying to watch. It's the second time that the same thing happened, and it makes clear that if Inverse had a little bit of a better draft, they could just win on that fact. If they had like a Spirit mid, a hero that can split the map better, because there is no catch on Infinity side, and they can just like keep farming and avoiding the team fights, tipping out.
Yeah, Void Spirit or an Ember Spirit, even a Storm Spirit right now would be great. Oh, PP just spots out Last Soul, but you mentioned it, no way to lock it down, just TPs to safety. I mean, a Rod of Atos, something along those lines could do wonders for Infinity.
Yeah, and you see some Razors going to the Eul's build, and I think this could be the game, considering that if he had this item just to cancel TPs, he could have gotten more 3 or 4 kills.
Yeah, I mean, you're really relying on the Ogre, a bit on the Morphling stun, but that's definitely something that you shouldn't be relying on. I mean, he could, of course, morph into, let's say, the Mars get a spear, which is still great, or the Mirana arrows, and, well, we've seen those arrows. They haven't been doing too much. Big stun onto Pamplona, gets the kill onto the Mirana, do salty as well. Mariano is stuck, needs help. Right now is dropping very low. On the run, gets stunned up, finished off in the process, though the Morphling is now in the fight as well, so you have to be very careful, and everyone tries to disengage. Medusa's not going to be so lucky. Very lengthy stun from Pamplona. Finally manages to connect, and they manage to get themselves a couple of big kills. Pamplona bought back, rejoined the game, and Roshan's going to be an easy pickup for the side of Infinity without anything to be done. There's even a double damage in the river that they could secure, and then honestly just walk up the high ground.
Yeah, that's Ice Frog Eve. You win team fights, hit your DD so you can do Roche, but on the wrong side of the river, so it's gonna be with the Mars. But still, even with that DD on inverse side, I don't see they fighting to Infinity. Like, they were smoked with Mars and Duza, and then they saw the Morphling. And they couldn't jump the Morphling because they know they couldn't kill him. And it makes sense, yes, that you start the fight to kill the Mirana, you might kill the Tide, but it's already bad that you have this feeling that no matter what happens, you're not gonna win the team fight. You might get a kill, and you need to run back as soon as possible because Morphling is just unkillable.
I have a very important question for you. Why is the Ogre the one that got the shard? I honestly think he has the worst shard of the entire team. I mean, Tide could at least anchor smash buildings, or Razor has that, you know, percentage hit backwards, slows the enemy and deals down like AoE Maelstrom. Even an extra leap from the Mirana is great. This is like, here, have a very tiny crappy shield on you. Yay.
Like buffing the Morphling as much as they can, and they feel like it's good to have this one more defensive skill on him, and he's the poorest guy on the team, so like if you have 1.4k extra net worth on top of, I don't know, 10k as you have as the Tides, you have like a 10% increase, that's in your impact. For Ogre, it's like doubling his potential because he has no items.
Yeah, but you don't help your supports. That is Dota 101. We all know supports are supposed to get none of the pieces from Roshan.
Especially because he failed to build that Midas.
Yep.
Oh, they found the Mars.
Well, if they don't have any way to interrupt him while he doesn't have a BKB, they definitely don't have anything if he has BKB.
I don't know, by that time if I am PP, I would just have bought like Abyssal Blade on the Razor. Because I'm just so tired to see heroes TPing in front of myself, because simply no one can cancel it, and yeah.
That would actually be pretty interesting. Nice little added Abyssal on the Razor, just walk close, get the stun in. But right now, that second Aegis still up for 2.5 minutes. There's not really anything stopping them from continuing to push on the high ground. Surprisingly enough, they didn't go for the rack stop. They are going to go for the tier 3 tower in the bottom lane, and that should drop down pretty quickly. PP's almost done with the Agnum Scepter. And they are taking down buildings fairly quickly with that Morphling.
Dire's bottom barracks has fallen.
They can't do anything against it.
Dire's bottom barracks has fallen.
Biggie.
They have buyback on Mars. Be the one initiating.
Okay, jump onto the Tide. Gets dueled. They're gonna get the kill onto the Tide. That's actually pretty big. And the media buyback coming through. Parker waveforms in aggressively. Still has that Aegis for quite some time. Gets himself a dieback going on towards the Skywrath Mage. But that E-Blade Parker is just pumping out damage like it means nothing. Continuing the fight as much as possible. They lost them around now. A lot of kills happening on the supports mainly. But there is still that Ravage available from the Tide if you're not careful. Miggy, the Ravage gets blown just to get the kill by Mariano. And Parker, he's going to lose that Aegis momentarily. He knows he's going to lose it. Doesn't really care. Actually still keeping it alive for the time being. And PP taken down in the end. But that's going to be the Lyrax in mid. Down for the count. Waveform to the side. Gets the TP away. Miggy blinked already so they couldn't interrupt the Morphling. And they'll find a dieback onto Mariano. They found a couple of kills here. But they lost a lot in their base.
Yeah, so the Duza went for the Silver Edge. That's why they could got a kill at the Tidehunter. And it's quite hard to go high ground against a Duza. In the meantime, Parker, he found the right way. That is basically ignore her and hit buildings. So when he changed for that approach, things worked a bit better. But he lost so many teammates on the process. Maybe the Tide shouldn't have blinked in with the Ravage when he bought back, just stayed safe behind the Morphling, and now they have to deal with the Duza going their way.
It's a little bit spooky though. You still have a Morphling raises almost back up, so you don't have that much threat behind you. And even if you want to push the high ground, Mirana, you know, she's getting closer towards that Ags because for some reason she went back for it.
Oh man. Pamplona, he's trying to build that Agony since yesterday's game. I don't know.
This is just an interesting choice. Let's stick to that.
Man, it's your fault. You hyped him so much with that level 30 Mirana. And we've been watching him all the time and he's feeling under pressure. We should stop looking at him and he will find that Agony.
Oh, no. No, he needs to feed off that pressure. He needs to thrive because of it. We need to keep looking at his Mirana plays the entire time. Morphling's level 25 though. 2 waveform charges. That's pretty solid. Going for the BKB next. Is already pretty much 6 slotted. But might as well get as many extra pieces as possible. Equipable Ags. Aghanim Shard. And you can always, of course, upgrade your power treads for Swift Blink. Oh, LC. Waveformed upon. Nice before he can really do anything. Didn't have the blink available whatsoever. Parker walking up the high ground because there's no backup protection. Now it finally comes in. But they're just breaking right through onto the melee racks. And considering the last racks would be a range racks in the mid lane, that is definitely going to be easy megas because they could just throw the Morphling against it and it drops.
Yeah, and they killed those tracks with backdoor protection, so the next ones, if they wait for... they don't even need to wait for the creep.
Oh, buyback forced out on the Legion Commander. Parker does have to be a little bit careful, Astini. Because we saw that previous fight where, of course, the Tidehunter died in the... you know, beforehand, before the fight even started. Because of that silver edge on the Dusa. But it was also because the Mars threw an arena in. And the Legion Commander stood outside of the arena, dueled the Tidehunter, so the Tidehunter kept hitting the side of the wall. Which was pretty cool. That's a big arena. Gigantic catch. Mariano Tide is already dead. Dual victory coming in. 2 kills. Inverse. They're trying to turn it around and get themselves some more. Pamplona, PP, and of course Parker on the run. Actually, Parker not on the run. Tries to kill off Monty. But needs to be very careful in his approach because he's being hunted and this could be dangerous if he dies. But on the other side, Pamplona coming in together with people. They're playing guerrilla tactics at the moment. It is going to cost him Mirana his life, you know. Who cares? He's getting close towards his Ags.
Yeah,
That's all that matters.
Yeah, that interaction of the Mars Arena with Legion is so interesting. They managed to pull it again. But Parker, knowing that they don't have Arena and they don't have the lockdown from the duo, he just played like, I don't care after
He's
that
gonna
happened.
backdoor. Look at that. Got that blink. Right click. Ha ha! Gets a kill. Double wave for him on the run. They need to pop that Lincolns though. There it goes. Duel comes in. Parker is in trouble-ish. Adjacent. Possible. He does die. Oh my god. Parker's dead, but he got exactly what he came for, and that is mega secured. However, Roche just respawned. Third Roche of the game. That's going to be a free Aghanim Scepter Roche. Give that to the Medusa. And yes, they're mega, but they have a lineup that is really good against megas.
Man, I'm so mad with that Ogre. He didn't use the Fire Shield. He used all his spells, but he didn't use the Fire Shield.
Well, Ogre is reported. They gave him the shard. If that shard was on, you know, I don't know, Razor? Maybe that would be a little bit more useful, but now they've got the free Ags on the Dusa, who's going for the Rapier. And honestly, yes, you got Megas, but 9k net worth advantage. Medusa's almost level 25, Split Shot uses modifiers. It's got the Aghanim Scepter, it's got the Aghanim Shard. This Dusa is going to become a lot harder to kill from this point on.
Yeah, that suicide exchange for Megas from Morphling was extremely bad. It feels like the game was a 95-5 for them, and now it's 60-40 or even close to 50-50. Because it's the third Roche, it means so much, and Dusa is very close to the level 25, and such a huge power spike to have with Aegis.
Well, Tide almost has himself the refresher. That could, of course, be a big change-up in their approach. And we have Pamplona split pushing with his Aghanim Scepters, going for bots next because he wants to keep split pushing. Which, honestly, it's a pretty good idea to try and keep split pushing the entire time. And get bots so you keep sending someone towards the enemy's base. It's just, you know, Ags is garbage, so eh.
Yeah, and from the nice early game his team had, it was expected from his side to have way more impact. And this Aghanim's build, like that you have the item with 38 minutes, doesn't sound good for me.
Does mean that everyone on the side of Inverse is pretty much gonna need to get themselves bots next. They want to push anything, because you need to be able to TP back to base quickly. You walk out of your base one moment, Parker takes down your buildings, especially if the Razor would eventually go for the Aghanim Scepter. I mean, he's got the Refresher Orb already. If you get Ags, buildings melt.
Yeah, and they already show they can kill Hex with backdoor protection, so without and with the Razor Aghanims, it should be so fast. That's what I think they will try to do, like just rush into mid, ignore Medusa, and
Parker
take Throne.
fully bought out, so they're definitely not going to fight anytime soon.
I really think he should go for a BKB.
Oh, Adrian. Got them Spooter legs. Stun comes out. Ogre Magi, 4 staff, plus the Mirana Invis. Gets himself out of harm's way. Do they have a gem or anything along those lines? Nope. Oh wait, they do have one on the Mars, so that's at least a big plus.
What's up with the Ogre that he doesn't use the Fire Shield? It lasts 25 seconds.
Because it's a garbage spell. You realized it. Oops, I accidentally picked up the shard. How many shards does the Radiant even have?
Man, it's 85%, but it's just 3 attacks.
He's
yeah.
still the only one that has a shard. Like, no one else on the side of Infinite... Like, they have some pretty good shards. Not, like, superb great. I mean, the Mirana's pretty nice. You get the extra leap, which, granted, that's a 33% increase on your leap, which is honestly not too bad. Razor's one is... like, Mjolnir effect? Ish.
Kind of his old passive, right?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Morphling is a multi-shot, which is also kind of good. And the Tides one is, well, building push and bigger AoE on your smackdown. But Anchor Smash also reduces damage. So if you get that big AoE smack on Medusa plus more, 60% damage reduction is, no, it's also pretty okay. Well, Gyrocopter, what is he going for? He got himself a 4-staff at this point. You know, you're a Gyrocopter position 5. It's time to farm yourself that Aghanim Scepter and Mjolnir.
Maybe he'll go for that Falcon Blade and try to deal with creeps because he cannot even fight the creeps.
Shadows, take
Maybe my crazy idea can be...
Spots out Monty. Monty tries to turn it around. A lot of damage. PP is forced to pop his BKB, but he has that refresher, so it's
dire structures are fortified.
pretty a-okay. Morphling creeping in. Barca going for the backdoor shenanigans. Quickly blinks in, destroys the tier 4 tower, and waveforms back. So yeah, they are playing pure guerrilla tactics on Infinity, though Adrian's the one getting spotted. Has a Rapier finished up, though. It doesn't have Daedalus, so Rapier's pretty nice, but without Daedalus, it reduces the damage by quite a gigantic amount. Ravage gets blown. They're going to go in for Adrian. Double Ravage. He's dropping low. Miggy's got the arena. Does he save his buddy's life? No, he does not. The Rapier's on deck. Barca picks it up. That's going to be a Medusa dead for the count. Nothing they can do. And I mean, we saw a little bit of a possible threat coming in multiple times. A couple of big mistakes on the side of Infinity, though. Walking out of your base with the Medusa and no one nearby, I would say is game losing.
Yeah, especially because they finished to farm the Divine when the Aegis was over, so it was a weird timing to leave your base. Maybe they could farm a BKB on her and then fight the next Roche fight, which could begin within 3 to 6 minutes. So yeah, she just lost that Divine so fast.
Yeah, she picked it up and she lost it immediately afterwards, and that is gonna be the first between these two teams. It's kind of the team that you expected, though. Inverse, more kills, and almost made the comeback happen, but almost is not completely, and that means that so far Infinity, with that godlike Parker performance and of course Pamplona performance, will be able to secure their first map in this best of 3. But there's still more to witness. We'll be heading towards a short break, and then map/game number 2 will be on its way. We'll be right back.